All right, let's build the plasma cannon. Now to start with, I want to open up the component library by pressing tab. We're in the basic components tab, and I want to use the cube, but I'm probably going to be using it more than once, so I want to add that to my quick bar. If you have it in your quick bar, you don't have to do anything, but I'm missing it, so I'm going to hover over it. I'm pressing 1, and you can see it's in our number 1 slot here. So I'm just going to close the component library with tab and press 1 to spawn it in front of me. There we are. I'm going to place it down with left mouse button, and I'm going to start by scaling it. Now to scale it, I'm holding down Control, and I'm using W while holding down Control to select width axis, and I want to scale that up to 1.5 using the scroll wheel on the mouse. So 1.5, W again for height, that's 0.75, and W again for depth to scale it to 1.5. There we go. Now I want to switch the state to sort of have it on the ground there. That's R. And here it is. And this is our base for our plasma cannon. Now let's build the control panel next by opening up the component library with tab. And we're going to use the hexagon panel. So let's click on that. It's laying down here. It's kind of bright at the moment, but I want it to stand up. So we're going to use the scroll wheel to cycle the sockets. So it's standing up. And let's place it down. Now it's not facing the right way, so I want to hold down Shift and the left mouse button to rotate it to 90 degrees so that it's facing sort of this axis here. And I want to scroll it with Control, W for diameter and W again for height. And I'm going to scale it up, scroll wheel again to 1.5. All right, this is sort of the base. Let's add the components that we want to control the plasma cannon with. So I'm thinking a lever and a knob and a button. So let's find those. Component library. It's somewhere in behavior. Let's find out. It should be down here. So that's a lever. I want a knob. That should be up here. And the button. That's way up here. All right. And then to control all of these, I want to use a controller. Here we are. These are intersecting a little bit. Let's fix that. There we go. All right, so now we have to do the plasma cannon itself, but I'm going to build that as its own separate device. So in here with nothing in front of us, let's press tab and let's find the mechanic components. Now, the servo is perfect for what we want to do to control the direction of the plasma cannon. And down here is a single axis joint, which is perfect for handling the pitch. I'll explain this as I go along. So let's start with the servo. It's facing upwards, and I don't want that, so I'm going to use the scroll wheel to cycle the rotation. There we go. So it's facing me, like that. Now it's going to rotate in any direction that I want. 360 degrees. Now on top of that, explain this as I go along. So let's start with the servo. It's facing upwards, and I don't want that, so I'm going to use the scroll wheel to cycle the rotation. There we go, so it's facing me, like that. Now it's going to rotate in any direction that I want, 360 degrees. Now on top of that, I want to add the single axis joint. So component library again, find the single axis joint, and let's attach that on top of it. Now you can see the single axis joint is going to rotate 90 degrees in this direction and 90 degrees in the other direction. The single axis, attach that on top of it. And 90 degrees in the other direction. So that's perfect for handling the pits up and down. So on top of this, I'm going to have the base for the cannon itself. So let's add a cube by pressing 1. Center it down there, and let's scale it down just slightly, just 1 tick, to 0.38 on all axes. Now let's add all axes. Let's scale it down just slightly, just 1 tick, to 0.38 on all axes. Now let's make it a little bit cooler by having some decorative components on it. Let's open up the component library again. Let's see what we have here. We have a few parts. How about this one? I think this could look cool. Add it there. That's sort of like the backside of it. And then here, how about another hexagon? So in basic components, hexagon panel. Let's click here in the middle, and let's scale it up. I want to go to height, so that's S. And scale it up with the mouse wheel again, the scroll wheel. So that's looking pretty good. Let's add a component. Let's add the plasma cannon on top of it. Plasma cannon. I want to go to height, so that's S. And scale it up with the mouse wheel again, the scroll wheel. So that's looking pretty good. Let's add a component. Let's add the plasma cannon on top of it. Plasma cannon. That here. And yeah, it's looking. Let's add a little. This. Bit flat somehow, so let's add one component. I have one in mind. Decorative. Let's add this plate right here, and let's rotate it like that. So that's looking pretty good for me. You can do whatever you want, but I think this looks good to me. So now that we have the plasma cannon here and the base over there, I can take this entire device and I want to grab it by the servo, because that's the component that I want to attach the plasma cannon with to the base. So I'm going to grab the servo, I'm going to place it somewhere around there, and obviously it's facing the wrong direction, so I want to hold down shift while looking at the servo and rotate it. Now it's facing the same direction as the controls. Now all I have to do is hook up the skets. Now, like I said, I want the lever to control the single axis joint here, the knob to control the direction of the servo, and the button to control when to shoot the plasma cannon itself. So let's open up these skets with Q. Let's get rid of this ticker, we don't need that. And we're gonna grab the lever, we're gonna grab the knob, and we're gonna grab the button. Now the lever is gonna control the single axis joint, and now I have to do something in between here. If I do output position to target rotation like this, the lever outputs minus 100 degrees, well, minus 100% to 100%. And the single axis joint is going to understand that as minus 100 degrees and plus 100 degrees. It's not going to go all the way because it can only go to 90 and minus 90. So I can just show you real quick. If I do this, this is a little bit too much. There's no reason for me to pitch the cannon by this much. I mean, it could just be dangerous. So let's limit how much this lever can control the single axis joint by getting rid of this line by hovering over it and right-clicking. And we're going to add a logic node by pressing spacebar. This is our node library here. And we're just going to search for the percentage mapper right here. Now, what this is going to do is I want the lever to deliver the percentage, its percentage, to the percentage mapper. And I want it to control, basically I'm going to map it from, let's say, well, minus 30 degrees to 30 degrees. Now, because it's delivering a minus value as well as a plus value, I want to use the negative limit. Otherwise, it's only going to recognize 0 to 100. But with this ticked, it's going to recognize minus 100 to plus 100. So now, obviously, nothing is going to happen if I don't tell it to map the new percentage. So every time it outputs the position, or the position of the lever changes, it's going to also map the new percentage. So we're going to take the output, put that to target rotation, and let's see what happens now. That's more like it. You can still shoot kind of close down, but that's fine, probably. Now, the next thing we want to do is the knob to control the direction. So we'll drag out the servo, and it's the same deal here. Output analog value to target rotation. The knob only delivers 0 to 100, and the servo is just going to interpret that as 0 to 100 degrees. So if I turn the knob all the way, I can only shoot left. That's not good, so let's use another percentage mapper. Let's get rid of this line and space and another percentage mapper. And then I'll put the analog value to percentage, and I'm going to map it as well. And then number to target rotation, so that's all set up. Now I just have to add, let's say 90 degrees to minus 90 degrees. Now because the knob is not outputting any minus value, I don't need to use the negative value. So this should pretty much just work out exactly how I want it to. There you go. I can rotate the plasma cannon 180 degrees. Now it's facing forward, but the knob here is facing like downwards to the right. It's not nice necessarily. It's easier if I would recognize where it's aiming from just by looking at the knob. So let's switch the state here and let's rotate with shift. Let's rotate the knob by 135 degrees. So that's now it's aiming somewhat forward, and if I turn right, it's turning right, left, left. So it's more in line with where the plasma cannon is facing. All I have to do now is hook up the button. So button. Plasma cannon. This is easy. Whenever I press it, I want it to shoot. Let's see what happens. There we go. Now we can do a little target practice here. Let's add a cube with 1, and then another cube on top of it, 1, and another 1. There we go. This is going to be our target. So let's